Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Welcome to all. Barakallahu feekum. We're driving now. Me and Mahmoud G heading to Philly. Inshallah for these classes tonight. Masjid Mujahideen. Our weekly classes on Riyadh Salihin. The purpose of this quick live stream is basically a request to my brother, my man A-Ra from Masjid Mujahideen. If you're watching this is for you, Akhi, inshallah ta'ala. And he asked me with regards to the importance or the danger or the seriousness of the issue of eating zabiha or halal foods, meats that are slaughtered the proper way, and trying your best to make sure that those meats are slaughtered the proper way. As we commonly say, zabiha or zabiha halal, versus a Muslim eating from KFC, right? Get yourself, what's it? They got the traditional, and then the other one is crispy. What's the other one?
You got spicy,
boneless. Right? Or you go to Chick-fil-A, or you want a steak, a ribeye steak from Jim Steak. I don't know. Well, okay, wherever,
Corn Steakhouse.
Right. Outback, wherever it is, whatever, can you eat that as long as it's not pork? As a Muslim, is that lawful? So on and so on and so forth. So I'll say briefly is that this issue can be divided into two main sections. All right, two main sections. MashaAllah, Nuruddin Al-Khalawi. I wonder who that is. Allahu musta'an. Ma'rufun am majhulun. La nadri. Allahu a'lam. What's important is you have the technical aspect, and then you have the ethical or the moral aspect. So the technical aspect is, what are the conditions that have to be fulfilled at the time of the slaughtering of an animal in order for you to eat its meat and consume its meat? Allah's name has to be mentioned as an obligation or as a prerequisite. Can other than Allah's name be mentioned upon an animal? Can a Christian say in the name of Christ? Or something like this? Is that shirk? Is that kufr? Of course, they're Yahud, they're Nasara, etc. What are the technicalities, the fiqh rulings behind eating meats that haven't been slaughtered by Muslims, or slaughtered by Muslims but in the improper manner? And then secondly is the concept of supporting Muslim businesses, trying your best to keep your money within the Muslim ring or the Muslim circle, supporting your brother's local butchery or butcher shop, his local meat market, his local restaurant, fast food restaurant, versus giving your money, giving your dollars to the non-Muslims directly. All right? So can or can I not eat from Chick-fil-A or Burger King or McDonald's or Arby's, whatever the issue is, right? It says majhul halan la'aynan. Allahu a'lam ya akhi. What's important is that we've explained those rulings in detail and what the scholars of Islam of past and of present say regarding eating meats from Jews and Christians. And the Muslims in today's times can be divided into three groups. They're those on the far right of extremism, and they may say mistakenly, incorrectly, you cannot eat no food unless it's from a Muslim. You can't eat no meats unless it's from a Muslim restaurant. You can't eat the slaughtered meats of a Jew. You cannot eat the slaughtered meats of a Christian, period. Hands down, under any circumstance. And then there are those on the other left who say that you can eat whatever you want to eat. Popeyes, McDonald's, Purdue, Tyson, all right? Whatever the case may be, as long as it is in pork. And that's because these different fast food restaurant chains, they are in the lands of Jews and Christians. And they're Ahlul Kitab. And Allah Azza wa Jalla has clearly made it lawful for us to eat the meat of Ahlul Kitab. Tayyib. And then in the middle, there are those who say is that the Quran and the Sunnah clearly allow us to eat the flesh and the meat of animals that have been slaughtered properly. Whether that proper slaughtering is by a Muslim, a Jew, or a Christian. And for sure there are Jews and there are Christians who are from Ahlul Kitab today. Maybe not all of them, but from Ahlul Kitab. And they hand slaughter the animals, they cut the animal's throat, the blood leaves the body, even though they're not Muslims, but if they're a Jew or Christian, kosher, glock, kosher, whatever the case may be, hand-slaughtered, farm-raised, it's lawful for a Muslim to eat that meat. So a Muslim slaughtering the animal, a Jew slaughtering the animal, or Christian slaughtering the animal. And if we know for sure that this restaurant has meat slaughtered in a proper manner by a Jew or a Christian, it's lawful. Or if a Muslim man was married to a Christian woman and his father-in-law, the Christian woman's father, bought them some steaks. He was a butcher. And he says, we slaughtered these by hand. Grass-fed, farm-raised cows, etc. And I wanted to give my daughter and you and the grandchildren some fresh steaks. Lawful to eat, permissible to eat. Just like it's permissible to marry that Christian woman with conditions, etc. So they don't go too far to the right, nor too far to the left. And they don't say things based off of ignorance. So therefore, the question is now, is McDonald's Ahlul Kitab or not? Are they Jews and Christians? And if they are Jews and Christians, even if they're Jews and Christians, is the meat banged upside of the head, shocked to death, electrocuted, okay, pole axe, or is it done in a specific manner? So clearly, after having a brief look into the conditions of a valid slaughter, an animal that's slaughtered properly, there are shurut, there are conditions in the animal, and there are conditions in the one who's slaughtering and butchering the animal. Are those conditions being fulfilled or not? It's only going to make sense for the Muslim to stay away from that which is doubtful. And it's only going to make sense for the Muslim to try to avoid that which is too complex, too perplexing, and too technical. Especially in a time and a place in the land in which slaughtering an animal by hand is considered to be barbaric or inhumane. It's considered to be something which is outdated. It's a caveman type of practice. And those who slaughter by hand and make things by hand and process things by hand are the small and vast minority. So the chances of that meat from Chick-fil-A or McDonald's or KFC being slaughtered the correct way, let alone if they're Jews and Christians, is going to be slim. So it's only best and only makes sense for the Muslim to avoid that and to stay away from that which is doubtful and to stick with that which a person has a little more certainty, or if not certainty, at least confidence about. That's first and foremost. And under any circumstance is the view that states that you live in a country of Jews or Christians, they slaughter the animals, you can eat their meat. That's not a bad opinion. It's not a weak opinion. That's valid according to Quran and Sunnah. But that's not the argument here in America. The argument is, are these people Jews or Christians? The argument is, if they are Jews or Christians, are they slaughtering it properly? Just like there are many Muslims who slaughter improperly. Muslims who say other than Allah's name, unfortunately, they may say the name of Ali, waliyadu billah, or of this wali, of this saint, like Catholics, versus the other denominations or schisms within Christianity. How they look at them as heretics. You are not Christians. You're not following the way of Christ. You invoke saints and angels. How can you be a monotheist? All right? So, a Muslim, he should try his or her best to avoid things that are doubtful, avoid things of which he isn't certain, avoid things that can become hairy and sticky and problematic. That's number one. And that's with regards to the fiqh rulings, the technicalities. As far as supporting your brother and helping your brother, then of course the Muslims are the minority. We don't have much. Even the Muslims who are wealthy, who own things, it's not a lot in comparison to the non-Muslims. Churches, mosques, synagogues, centers, all right? So why wouldn't you want to support your Muslim brother's business? And the Muslim brother who has a halal restaurant, why do you want to have sky-high prices? Help each other upon birr and taqwa. I offer this, you buy this. I go get my hair cut by a Muslim barber. I go to the halal butcher, the same dollar. He goes and gets a visa to make Hajj or Umrah. He goes to the bookstore, the money goes in the sadaqah box. Sadaqah box money goes to the imam buys this, and the money should circulate. Because we're small. Because we're the minority, we don't have much. We oftentimes struggle economically and financially at large. So if you go to a Hasidic Jewish community in New York City, for a radius, all you're going to see is minivans. All you're going to see is women walking down the street with baby carts, strollers. You're going to find this one is Hebrew or Yiddish, the bus. okay? The meat market, okay? The sushi bar, the juice bar, the supermarket, construction company, the plumber, everything, their money is circulating. It's really leaving their community. Our money, our dollars, we barely support each other. We barely buy things from each other. The Muslim craftsmen and construction workers and plumbers and barbers and seamstresses and whatever professional skill or trade that you have, our dollar barely is in our community. All right? So these are some of the reasons why a Muslim should try his or her best to stick with eating the food that inshallah ta'ala has been labeled as halal. Even though there's a great deal of fraud, people do lie, people do say halal and it's not halal because they know that the Muslims just want to eat, and oftentimes the Muslims don't care, they're not concerned. But there are ways of verifying, but be balanced. It's incorrect to ask unnecessary questions. It's incorrect to dig and to dive too deep into a thing, or too deeply into a thing. And of course, there is some type of awareness and responsibility that the Muslim does have to ask and to be concerned. So balance is what's important. Me personally, I wouldn't feel comfortable eating at McDonald's or Burger King or KFC for so many different reasons. We never got into the health issues, the GMO stuff, but the concept of if they're serving a million people or a billion people served or whatever, do you honestly think that they're slaughtering the animal by hand? Do you think that a cold steel blade is going across the throat of that cow? Is it even beef that you're eating in a hamburger? But that's a different discussion. Our speciality, our field of expertise is not food and veganism, and we're not talking about that. But the concept of, do you honestly believe in your heart that Chick-fil-A is slaughtered properly? Do you honestly think that? Do you honestly feel that way? So you have to have a certain level of sincerity and honesty with yourself. As far as if you don't know, that's a different story. But the default, by any means, is the default hand slaughtered in this country. That's the exception to the rule. All right, so what's important is, in brief and in summary, not to make things too complicated or too technical, there are fiqh rulings pertaining to the meats that you can and cannot eat. And there is a moral or ethical responsibility of the Muslim to try his best to support Muslim entrepreneurs, Muslim butchers, Muslim chefs, Muslim cooks, and they should try their best to buy, to supply, and to support the Muslim meat markets and factories and farms, and deal with the halal and the tayyib, that which has been hand slaughtered by a Muslim according to Quran and Sunnah, to the best of one's ability. That's what I would say. Of course, there's much more that we can say. There's much more that needs to be said and can be said, but that's all we want to say for now. All right. So that's with regards to that. Nocturnal Boat, you got a couple shout outs, a couple of viewers that gave their salams. Inshallah, we're on this road now, traveling, getting ready, hopefully, to, don't mind my messy dashboard. See teacups, books, more teacups, huh? The road trip is real. What's important is you guys stay safe, and hopefully we'll get to our destination and a couple more exits. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.